Welcome to the first episode of Cutting Edge. I'm so excited to start you up on this. My name is Rotimi Ayodele-Oba. The Cutting Edge is powered by SNIAAT. SNIAAT is a Canadian IT service provider right here, operating from Ottawa. And on this very first episode, I'm privileged to have one of the industry titans. His name is David Hudson. David has had what I call experience over the decades, from the private sector to the public sector. Now he spends considerable time nurturing the next set of guys that will run the industry and get us to where we're going to be. So David, it's such a privilege to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I don't think I've ever been called a titan before. I don't know.
Well, good things come lately.
I've been around and I have a few stories. Let's just say that.
Well, maybe that's another privilege from me. The first person to call you a titan, I think I will call you a titan as an industry specialist myself. Okay, so right into it. David, this conversation today will largely center around artificial intelligence.
Okay.
Right, and I'm sure whoever is listening to us, wherever they are getting their podcast or of the video version of it, might not be hearing artificial intelligence for the first time, right? But this conversation should be taking it away from the now very popular buzzword to, getting some deep dive, non-technical deep dive, aimed at helping business owners to connect with this particular concept, and most importantly, see how this concept can help them move their business from where they are to where they want to be. Basically, the growth. All right. So, but before we go deep dive into the conversation, in a very few minutes, and of course in a non-technical way, can you run us through what artificial intelligence is?
Okay. Yeah. So my perspective on this is always kind of the applied technology. In my business career, I was looking at technology in terms of value to businesses, and in my academic career, I'm interested in how technologies are understood from a value point of view. So artificial intelligence has been around for a long time. It's not a new idea. I was in school in the 80s and we had AI programs. What's interesting about artificial intelligence today is the particular flavor that's really come into vogue. A lot of developments happened on it over the last couple of years. That's large language models, and I'll try to make that the only buzzword that I use this morning. Large language models are exactly what it says on the wrapper. So model. So this is a mathematical understanding of data. So you can think of lots of mathematical models. You can predict where a baseball is going to be thrown based on math. Same basic idea. Large. So large as in all of the data that's available on the internet. So you can build a model that basically takes the data that's available on the internet and essentially understands it, puts it together. And you don't have to understand how that works, even if it blows your mind. It blows my mind. Just that can be done. You can model what's there. And then the last piece of large language model, LLM, is language. The beauty of this from the non-technical point of view is you can interact with these large language models through plain text. You can type a question, you can speak to some of these models, you can show them pictures, and they will respond to you in plain language as well. And so that's kind of the key, is that we suddenly have AI where you don't need to care how it works. You can interact with it, and there's lots of versions of this stuff that are freely available online.
Fantastic. You put in quite a lot of information in there, right? But I think one of the things that actually did strike me was that you said, this has been around for ages. You mentioned your experience in the 80s, and you won't be surprised. I don't think you should be surprised that caught my attention, because I'm actually a product of the 80s. So what came to my mind was, does it mean this technology is older than me? You know what I mean? As even around before I was born. But you tied it in that there's a new flavor.
Yeah.
Right. There's a new flavor in town. Right. There's a new guy in town. Right. That is now shaking things, and you try to explain what that new guy does. The composition of that new guy, and where you stopped it is where I think I love most. You said what we have right now, what we have in the industry right now, the users don't necessarily need to understand how it works.
Right.
We have gotten to a stage where we now have
Correct.
what you can interact with, what you can use without necessarily understanding how it works. So It might look like magic, but there's a science behind it. But we don't need to concentrate on that right now. As a user, we need to concentrate on where and how we can use it, right? Before we go into that, just for the purpose of educating our users, do you mind telling us maybe your own recollection of the evolution? How did we get to this level? How did we get to where we are? From where you think AI started from, right? How did we get here?
There's a long answer to that question,
Okay.
but the short answer is, so when I was first in university in the 80s, AI, so image processing. So you want to look at a picture of this room and figure out which of these objects are chairs. And in the 80s, a lot of the science that was focused on answering the question, what in an image is chairs, considered a few things. One thread was, maybe we can build a model. What does every chair look like? How do we describe every chair? Think of it as a big sort of encyclopedia of chairs. Another was, let's figure out how the human eye and brain works and how it takes this light that's coming at us that, is a camera and a chair and a table and distinguishes the chair parts.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of the energy was focused. Try to, if you like, engineer physical reality through our brains into what we see. Somewhere along the way, and this happened, in a few events through like the 90s and the 2000s, people said, you know what, if you have enough data and you do enough statistical analysis, I don't care how it works, but if I see enough pictures that I'm told are chairs, I'll figure out statistically what a chair looks like. And so the voice recognition that we all take for granted in our cars and on our phones, it does not understand how your brain works. It just knows statistically these sounds are associated with these words and these words typically go together. And now I can speak to my phone, I can speak to my car. So that's kind of the big change, is that these are statistical models. They're just measurements of how often things seem to happen in images or out on the internet, and build associations between them.
Yeah. So that means we've been consuming this for a while, right? We have been consuming this for a while, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and we've been going with it, right? But talking about the growth of and the maturity of the technology, right? Where we are right now. My question is going to come in two fold, right? And the first one will lead to the second one. First, do you believe this is a transformative force in the business world? And if you believe it's going to be transformative, or it has the power to transform businesses, why?
Okay, so to answer that, I'll go back to what you said. You talked about maturity, and I don't think it's about maturity.
Okay.
It's about accessibility.
Yeah.
We've taken a technology that you used to need like really sharp people with lots of credentials and degrees to understand and use, and it ran on really specialized machines, compute, storage, and so on. And suddenly, it's freely available online, and you speak to it. You either type your question or you talk to it, like I said, show it an image, and it gives you an answer. So this is no different than computer networks existed from like at least the 60s, and they were available. I worked in a company that had a network in the 80s that had a sophisticated email system, and we did all kinds of cool stuff on there. But to navigate it, you typed in, let me think here, 12-digit addresses separated by colons, and you put FTP get at the end if you wanted to get a file. Like, it was arcane, right? You needed to be a wizard to use it. What was the magic of the internet? The magic of the internet was, well, gee, anybody could use it because you didn't have to know an address. You just, you typed into a search bar and magic happened. And so that was a combination of things, but it was not to say that the internet was mature at that point. It suddenly became accessible. The web technologies and a few other things, HTML, things like that, suddenly made it something that anybody could use. And that's kind of the key here. Large language models allow anybody to use AI and to use it in fairly sophisticated ways without understanding anything about how it works. You don't care. It's just suddenly it's available to you. And it's, it's built on other things. It sits on the cloud, and, we have this kind of paradigm now where a lot of cloud services are at least partly available free. Sometimes fairly, extensive capabilities are available for free, and anybody can use them. And that is a big part of why I see this as being transformative. You can look into what's going on with AI and make an argument for transformative based on the computing things that are happening. But I think what's more important is that it's freely available.
Okay.
And sure, you can pay money and get I'll say better versions, but it's freely available and anybody can use it in ways that nobody thought of before.
Okay.
And suddenly that's, there's innovation and entrepreneurial potential in that. Significant technology available for anybody to mess around with and create new value. That's the definition of entrepreneur.
Fantastic. So now, if I'm going to connect that to it being a force of business, you have mentioned the fact that now the cutting edge part of it, the extra part of it, the reason why it's becoming adaptable, right? And everybody's talking about it right now is because there's no accessibility, right? You don't have to have a competence in that specific area now to make use of it. And you use one word there, right? Which is key. Instead of making use of it in a sophisticated way. That means in-depth use of it without an additional training, quote and unquote, right? So moving that into the second question which I asked, right? For business owners, can this transform the business? Can this help them to grow?
Yeah. So the answer to that is always maybe. So what I would argue, and this is based on a few things, based on some understanding of the technology, but also I've got gray hair. I've seen some technologies come and go over the years, and some that were supposed to be transformative, didn't really have much impact, and others that were significant. And part of what I would say is, this is, like I said, it's a significant technology. It's suddenly become widely available to anybody. Anybody can use it. And I have enough experience in industry of, earlier stages of AI being used by large corporations, spending lots of money. We used to fly people around the planet to do AI work for significant clients in different parts of the world. And suddenly that's available to anybody. So a little bit of technology understanding, a little bit of experience with how big companies did this back when it was expensive. And the fact that it's available to everybody, I'd say that ticks a lot of boxes for something that has the potential to be transformative. And that's even before you get to arguments about, our businesses today, the only businesses that matter are those that are online, and that's true of large and small businesses. And so you have all of this data that is available online, and suddenly you have a tool that loves to do interesting things with data. That also smells transformative to me.
Wow. Very, very good combinations, right? Because businesses are moving online. Individuals now have their personal life online. And we now have a tool that is data hungry, that does a lot of interesting stuff with those data. Right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Like, so there's no guarantees, but that smells transformative.
You take a bet on that. Fantastic. So if we say if we both agree that this can be of value to businesses, right? For a small business owner or a mid-sized business owner, that's not so small business owners, right? Are there specific sectors that you think this will make impact, or you think whatever you are doing, however you are doing it, you should be looking into artificial intelligence and how it can help you?
There are sectors that are very data centric, have always been, for a long time have been data centric, and they tend to be first movers on IT stuff, finance, for example, things like that, which most people in those sectors already know. They adopted IT early, they went online early, they have been adopting AI since before these large language models came on. Those are the obvious ones. But because this is transformative, the reasons we just discussed, I'd say, no, the interesting sectors are all of them, right? That's part of the magic here. Like in 2025 and beyond, all businesses that I think are worth talking about in terms of growth and potential are online in some fashion. They hopefully have their data in some coherent way. It's publicly online or internally online, I don't care. They have their data captured online. They have the potential to take advantage of this stuff because, like you said, AI loves data and does interesting things with data, and sometimes unexpected things too.
Okay, so I'm going to take you on that. I'm going to take you on that, David. Let's bring it home now. Let's talk to business owners in specifics in what they can relate to it, right? So we'll take an example of a service provider, probably doing some loan services, maybe even laundry services, or has a family business They've been running for some time. Yeah, bookstore, whatever it is, right? How is specific do you think this can help them?
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give you some context into that. You mentioned that the finance guys, adopted this early.
Sure.
Right. And I'm sure businesses also consume a number of finance services.
Yep.
Businesses consume procurement services.
Yep.
Even the businesses, are service providers in their own field, right? And the more they're able to optimize the services that they provide to the clients, the more they have a guaranteed return on the clients coming back, right? So let's look at what these guys do.
Sure.
These businesses, what services do they provide, right? So, and then how do you think they can optimize with artificial? And I will tell you why I asked this question, because if you speak to a lot of people who know about artificial intelligence, 80% of them know that it's something that they can talk to, the way you mentioned, right? The chat part of it, right? But then someone who is who might not necessarily be interested or not limited to using it for customer service engagement. And for example, you're talking about finance. How does that help? Okay. So you can help by maybe picking the business sectors one by one if you want, or you can take it generally. So you can say, for manufacturing, these are the services I think we should look at, or you can take it generally.
Yeah. So I think I'll approach it generally. So AI is happening.
Yeah.
And there's lots of conversations to be had around the downsides of this and places where it makes mistakes and so on. Mm-hmm. But let's focus on the good, the ethical and value-creating uses of AI. Mm-hmm. Some of it businesses get for free. Like if you type into the search bar now, a lot of the major search engines, the very first answer you get is an AI-driven response that attempts to synthesize the 10,372 answers that follow. So that kind of thing is happening for free. A lot of software is beginning to, desktop applications that we're all familiar with, apps on our phones, are embedding AI to do interesting things. Anybody who is interacting with a large organization on a customer service point is probably dealing with a chatbot these days, and they're getting, they used to be terrible, they're getting pretty good, and some of them are really good. Let's ignore that part, the stuff that you're going to kind of get for free that's going to get built into everything that people use. You're talking about applications of AI that are specific to your business, whether you're a lumber company, a small finance company, a graphic services company, I don't care. So the generic advice is actually, it's pretty straightforward, and it's not too difficult. Think of it as kind of a 3-step program. One, the first is, if your business isn't digital today, I don't know how you still exist. I'm not saying that there aren't businesses that
are not digital.
They don't have to be digital.
But it's going to be tough.
I know a few, but the ones where AI can matter, they have to be digital. So if you're interested in AI and you're not yet digital, then step one is obviously to get yourself digital. Make sure that what you do, what you transact, what you procure, your finances, your customer interactions, whatever makes the business go, and that varies depending on your business, that's got to be captured digitally. That's number one. Most businesses in 2025 today have that done to some extent. Then the second step is always, there's lots of things you can do with the new technology. And particularly when a new technology is not yet well understood. The patterns of use, like everybody today knows basically what a website needs to look like, but there was a point in time when it wasn't clear what you would put on a website and what the structures were, and could you actually transact and all that kind of stuff. But that's kind of done now. And so you can describe what every business needs for a website. For AI, we're not quite there yet. So where do you start? I guess the question you have to ask is, do you want it done to you, or do you want to be doing it? Because you can wait and see. Because one answer is, let's wait and see what other players will do, and I'll just kind of catch up as I go. That's okay. As long as you understand that the downside risk of that is lots of bookstores, brought in PCs, went online and, did all the progressive technology things, and they still got their lunch eaten by Amazon. So you can wait for that to play out, and maybe you'll get ahead of it, because there are some, players that have established niches that have stayed ahead of players like Amazon, but you could get get consumed too. But that's the very first question. Do I want to play around with this and try and get involved early, or do I want to wait and see? If you want to get involved, then like I said, part of the key to this technology is anybody can use it now. And step one in this journey is play with it. Plan a vacation with it. Learn a little bit about how the technology can be used and what it can do for you in very practical terms. There's a great news story just this weekend about some hikers out west who asked some large language model where they should go hiking in the Rockies. What's a great hike in the Rockies? And the answer they got was a great hike that if you have all the right equipment and all the right training and you got radios and all that kind of stuff, you should do. But for these people who were in their sneakers and jeans, they got in trouble and needed to be rescued. Turns out you should ask what's a great hike for somebody who's an amateur with no equipment, wants to do and not run into any trouble. And so that's part of what you need to learn with these things is the quality of what you get out is directly related to the quality of how you ask the questions. Okay, and a lot of the issues with AI where people point to dumb answers come down to that. If you ask better formed questions, you get better formed answers, and you're only going to learn that by doing. And so step two is play around. And the best advice for most businesses, don't worry about creating new businesses or selling new things. Figure out how you can improve what's going on in your company today. And usually, the generic advice looking at a business is, where do you have big cost issues, or where do you have big quality issues or big performance issues, things that you think could be improved but you struggle with. All right, pick one of those and do a little experiment. See what you can do to improve how you operate as a business with this. And if you do a few of those, eventually you'll find one that you kind of go, wow, never thought that would work, but it did. And you're going to turn that into part of how you operate your business. And when you get some of those under your belt, then you're in a position to say, well, gee, are there things that I could do that would delight my customers? I don't know what that is. I'm going to be more responsive to them. I'm going to deliver better quality work, new services, whatever it is. You can start to think about how you can do new value-added things for your customers. And that's kind of the normal three-step dance that a business school would prescribe for a business. Make sure you got a solid base, your digital company. Figure out how to use this internally and get good at that, at least a little bit good, and then figure out how to use it for your customers. And then, wow, suddenly you're creating new value.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I think that was a little bit more comprehensive than I thought. Thank you very much. But I picked quite a lot of stuff there. Especially when you're talking about the fact that the chat capabilities, right? I think I heard you say things like businesses can actually make use of this to get very, very near accurate business intelligence. Mm-hmm. Right, and that's also similar to the Ike example that you provided, right? Yeah. I mean, you want to get insight into something, you want to know exactly what your peers are doing, things that you usually have to maybe hire a dedicated researcher for before now, right? Yeah. You can get those informations simplified and mostly free. That's also enticing.
Yeah, and
that's also enticing.
And, surprisingly impressive results in many cases. Not always. Like sometimes, sometimes these tools will give you bad answers. And you always have to think of it. This isn't my analogy. Somebody's analogy is that these ChatGPT things, they're like a 4-year-old with infinite knowledge. Okay. And you ask a 4-year-old a question, and they want to please you, so they will answer your question even if they don't actually know the answer. And so that's part of the downside of these things. But again, if you play around with them, you'll gain some experience and understand how to validate what the machine is telling you. But that is kind of the key. Companies can now have expertise for free or nearly for free that they don't have to hire people for. Great example from our program back at Carleton is that we had a student assignment last term where we gave a fairly sophisticated real-world business problem from a company here in Ottawa to a bunch of students with next to no domain knowledge. They knew nothing about where the company played, and it was a sophisticated, let's call it business problem in a technology-rich space, but didn't matter. They didn't know anything about that, but they went and basically asked some competitive questions and some market questions and built a response that was very, very deep and very, very coherent. And and that's not just my opinion. We bounced it off the people from the company in question and got very favorable feedback. And that was an assignment for crying out loud.
Wow. So I mean, you don't get it better than that, right? So we're not discussing this in theory. I mean, this is an application of it. This is practical percent of it. This is an experience that you have had yourself, right? And imagine a set of nerds, very intelligent guys, doing research. I mean, and advising the corporation that they don't know what the corporation does. They've not spoken to anybody in the corporation, and they're able to come up with very good insights, very good advice, right? And why? Because they have a body somewhere that's called artificial intelligence.
And I don't want to pretend that this eliminates the need for dentists to know how to do dentistry or for real estate agents to know how to do transactions. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that it provides people with very specialized knowledge and experience access to other specialized knowledge and experience at relatively low cost. And even, let's say you're in a business that you need physical locations, so you're always opening branches or new outlets, whatever they are, it doesn't matter. Suddenly you're in a position to use a tool to answer questions like, where should I put my next location? And you can ask a question like that and get a very generic answer, or you can say, these are my types of the types of my customers I serve. This is the demographic breakup of those customers. This is when they tend to buy. This is how far they tend to travel. And if you provide that kind of richness of question to a large language model, you'll get a rich response, and that can equip a business owner then to go and have a conversation with people who rent space and things like that. That is, a head and shoulders above the previous question, which would have been, I need to open a new location. What do you got for me? Suddenly you would go in with a list of recommended locations, which may not be perfectly correct, but you've at least got a starting point on that kind of discussion. And that's just, one example. This could apply in other domains.
These are very amazing stuff, right? But I'm going to take you up on something. It's a little bit of digression, but I'll take you up on it because you mentioned that this is not eliminating some roles, right? And it rang a bell. It rang a bell because I will speak to my own experience. Growing up in Africa then, and when of course the West has already adopted personal computers, and then we're catching up on it. But before personal computers, we had something that we called typewriters, right? And they were professionals, people who spend years in school, right? Learning not just how to use the typewriters, but how to use it efficiently. They were measured by number of words they could type in a minute, sometimes in a second, that kind of stuff, right? And when personal computers came, some government bureaucracies were fighting it because they felt like, this number of guys that have been here, some of them have spent 20 years, spent a lifetime, some of them are still in school. What happens to those education? What happens to that experience? What happens to what they've done? So my question now, right, tying that experience to what you have mentioned is, and I'm sure a lot of people also have this bias, in your own point of view, is AI a threat to jobs?
Well, okay, so a couple of answers to that, a few things swimming through my head. So one, and I'll apologize this to anybody who's heard this from me before because it's my favorite example.
Okay.
The first person I know who wrote about a big technology change was writing to a group of people, basically, who ran the country and said, we don't want this technology change because we're kings of the universe. We run the planet, and this technology is going to threaten that. So we're going to prevent it from happening. We're not going to do it, and we're going to prevent others from doing it. And the guy who's writing this basically said, you're crazy. It's going to happen with or without you, and it's going to sweep everywhere. And this is a guy writing in the 1830s about the steam engine.
Wow.
And he's writing to the powers that be in Great Britain. So they had the largest navy, they had the largest merchant fleet, they had huge factories, which were all, located near moving water, and that's what ran the mills. And the powers that be said, I don't know about this steam technology. It looks like a bit of a threat. Maybe we should prevent it from happening. And part of the reason why Charles Babbage wrote was like, get on board with this, guys. It's first of all, it's bigger than you realize, and it's going to happen with or without you. So part of the answer here is it is happening. Okay. So we can wring our hands over what the change is going to mean, but it is happening.
Okay.
But the other comment I'd make kind of goes back to your comments about, so I've never lived in West Africa. I don't know what it's like, but I do know that so back when I did telecom for a living, we saw things happen in Africa first and fastest that took the rest of the world a long time to catch up on. And the one I remember specifically is micropayments. This idea that you would do a small financial transaction through the mobile network, you know, I was part of a company that built capabilities to do that, and we thought it was great. Didn't take off most places on the planet, but in Africa it took off in a huge way, really fast. And the reasons why don't really matter, but the point is there was an entrepreneurial potential there that the rest of the world kind of ignored for a while. We all kind of take micropayments for granted now today. We do all kinds of stuff like that is equivalent, but it happened there first and fastest. So is there a threat to jobs? Yeah. And actually, the space I worry most about is in the creative space, because suddenly you can say, I want images that look like this image the images this other person produces. And yeah, the tools will do that for you. So creative people have to, once again, get smart about how they protect their stuff from that. And there are some techniques that can be applied, but I won't discount the fact that it's going to rock that space. But I would focus more on what new opportunities does this create. How can you have a business today that you could not have 5 years ago because of this technology, or a value for your business that you didn't have 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago?
Fantastic.
Focus there.
Fantastic. And I think you got that right? Because the example that I also provided, right? Yes, it was an era it was ending an era of the typewriters, right? But it was also opening up a new era. Right, because the need was not eradicated. The need to get documents produced was not getting eradicated. The means of getting it produced was what was changing. So what we just needed to do was to focus on the new opportunities, how to harness it, which was even much more promising. So I think I will take that from you. And you mentioned the fact that, I mean, in your own point of view, the creatives have to be they have to be careful, right? First from protecting their work, right? And maybe even from the need, because I mean, I can now sit down with my GPT and ask questions, and it make me laugh, right? maybe not necessarily pay for comedy shows, right? when I'm down, right? And quite a number. And I've seen one of your contemporaries, who is also a professor, I think also even in your school, who produced a whole podcast like this with artificial intelligence.
Oh yeah.
And the discussions were rich. They were very insightful. So I mean, I think you cannot go wrong on that response from yours, right? But I want us to now maybe go deeper on this, right? Much more than the threat to jobs. Are there threat to businesses? Especially these are our constituents. Our constituents are the small and medium-sized businesses. We want them to make use of artificial intelligence to grow. But while they are trying to grow, while they are trying to open new doors, right? Yeah. The doors that they have right now, is there room for theft?
So there's a lot in that, and I don't know how to answer it all specifically. Okay. So, from an academic perspective, as soon as you say the word transformative about a technology, the implication is that this is something that changes industries. Okay, so it has an effect at the level of an industry, whether it's retail, whether it's financial, whether it's transportation. So the argument that AI is transformative from my point of view is that, yeah, it's going to be big. So there will be winners and losers. There will be people who profit from this and people whose businesses fail because of this. That's a real implication of this. And that's no different from what PCs did, what the internet did, and both of which, particularly the internet, still have real downsides. My goodness, part of me thinks we should never have done the internet just because of spam, and certainly because of the cybersecurity issues that it's created. But the point is that we've seen those technologies, disintermediate, disrupt, destroy some business sectors, and we've seen it really totally rework other business sectors. And so I think that is true here with AI. And I'm not a futurist. I don't predict stuff.
Okay.
But what does AI do, particularly AI that's linked to great big data sets and lots of compute, which is the paradigm we live in now? Well, it lets you, as you said, have expertise that you didn't have before. It lets you interact in ways you couldn't interact before. So I think a lot of customer service is going to absolutely be taken over this because, okay, yeah, you have people doing that today. It's going to be replaced by machines. There's a downside to that, but to the business, aside from the cost of those people, suddenly you have 24/7 and something that learns, automatically, because that's kind of the nature of this thing. And that's powerful, right? So I think it's not difficult to imagine certain places where this is going to have a big impact. But at the same time, it'll make businesses more successful and they can invest in other things and do more. They can create value with this stuff too. These tools are powerful in terms of doing things where you're trying to solve problems, find answers to questions. So I can certainly see a lot of businesses using this to figure out what their next product is, what their next service is, how to market it, who their competitors are, how to price it, all those types of things. And so I don't know what all is going to come from that, but it strikes me that that's huge potential.
David, as we discussed earlier, where we mentioned how businesses can benefit from artificial intelligence, right? I know you mentioned very well that, this tool has come to stay.
Yep.
Quote unquote, right? But we know what is happening in Canada right now.
Okay.
We know the biggest driver of the economy as a whole, and the most singular thing that has had impact on business, especially small businesses, medium businesses, and large businesses alike, is the tariff from the United States of America.
Sure.
Right. Now that businesses are looking for succor, right, I have two questions on this. Can they find this succor in artificial intelligence? And if your answer is yes, just in case your answer is yes, can you tell us how?
Sure. So my answer is going to be, I could dress it up, but it's basically a maybe. But so think about this. So you're a business that, let's roll back the clock 10 years, and suddenly there's this crazy trade war thing going on. What are you going to do? So 10 years ago, what you're going to do is probably try to find an advisor or consultant who, as cheaply as possible, will give you an answer to the question, what do I do? So now we live in an age where there are tools that can help you do this. And I've resisted doing shout outs, but I'll do one here. So I'm on the faculty of the Technology Innovation Management program at Carleton.
Yeah.
So two practical things you can do. One is we have students every term who do projects that are directed towards client problems, and a ton of them, not all of them, but a ton of them are in this applied AI space, solving business problems. So one option to you is, go online to Carleton University, Sprott School of Business, TIM program, and become a client for one of our projects in a term. So 14 weeks will give you an answer to your client problem. But more specifically, in that same basic web structure, if you go to Sprott University and search on Up Our Game, the team at TIM has built a set of tools specifically focused on small medium businesses that are concerned about tariffs. And these are tools that are AI driven. They've been built with AI. They use AI to assist businesses to navigate these tariffs. Or expressed differently, we're trying to equip small medium businesses with intelligence that they couldn't dream of paying for to try and navigate these problems. And so these include things like, how can I find other markets? How can I do a better job within Canada? What are the regulations and tariffs I need to be concerned about? And so on and so forth. Very sophisticated tools that were built by the people at Carleton specifically to address that problem. So you can use the tools yourself.
Okay.
You could find some students. We'd be happy to oblige. I'm sure other schools do that kind of thing too. Or you can use the kind of tools that we've provided at Carleton. And again, there's probably other tool sets available out there as well. But I would start by asking ChatGPT, what should I do?
Fantastic. So
Okay.
I think it's not it's so clear, because at this time businesses have to make decisions.
Yep.
And they have to make it very fast.
Yep.
But those decisions need to be smart. and you're saying there are tools that are available right now, and I'm very happy that the educational community, big shout out to Carleton, are taking the bull by the horn, right? And bringing tools together that can help organizations, businesses to make more intelligent decisions, right? They're providing the intelligence that is needed right there, and that's very cool. That's very important.
Yeah, and one of the nice things about them is, again, going back to what I said earlier, you don't have to think about a big, how do I retool my entire business from top to bottom. Pick a place to start, try it out, experiment, learn, rinse and repeat. I mean, that would be the best guidance. Get in there and do something practical in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, 2 months tops, based on one of those options. Do something practical, see what it does, rinse and repeat.
Fantastic. So your own point of view is from the potential part of it, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
I know very well, as a consumer, as a technology consumer myself, that as you have mentioned, that artificial intelligence can be used to open new businesses, but it's better used for optimization. So we have quite a number of solution providers, people that already have solutions in the market right now. Apple, Microsoft, all of that, now using even our document archives, right? Now advertising is now like an advert tag, right? To say this is AI enabled, AI features, right? For businesses, should they be reviewing what they are consuming right now and be insisting on getting solutions that are adopting artificial intelligence right now, or should they be indifferent? If you have it, that is good.
Yeah.
If you don't have it, that is good. What do you think?
So I kind of go back to the previous answer. I think for most businesses, this should be a 3-step dance. Make sure you got your digital house in order. Assuming you've done that, then absolutely look at operations first. That's I'd say a lower risk space to play around, and when I say play around, I mean experiment, try some things. Okay. And if you're experimenting, you expect a lot of those experiments will fail, but you keep going at it until you find one that works. Then you get smarter about this stuff, and you don't need to rely on outside experts. And from there, you can go into value creation. I would suggest that if you're serious about doing that, then absolutely you want to work with partners, vendors, service providers that are similarly minded, that are trying to navigate this future, be part of adopting it rather than resisting it and getting eaten. I mean, that's what I would suggest. And I can't emphasize enough that this pattern of experimenting internally before you turn around and try and do something for your customers, that I've seen that play out in big companies. I know one large company where we flew people down to South America, and their problem statement was they wanted to do predictive maintenance. They want to know when they needed to basically change the oil. A little bit more complicated than on these big power generating systems. They had 4 of them at this one location. They wanted to be able to predict when they would have maintenance issues rather than doing scheduled maintenance, and so we put smart people on it doing AI stuff back in the early 2000s. And the AI team said, well, here's how you can predict it. But the insight that they gained from this experiment was they didn't need 4 generators. They only needed 3.
Wow.
And that's huge, because these are generators that probably cost millions of dollars a piece, outside of the operating cost of these things. And so part of the transformation here, I said this technology is powerful, and you don't need to understand how the watch works to know that it tells time. You're going to play around internally and discover things that you didn't expect. Okay. So you're going to try and answer a question that you have. Okay. But along the way, you'll discover things you didn't expect. And again, that's part of this being transformative. Okay.
So I hear you say, embrace it. I hear you say adopt it.
And I would suggest if it's at all scary, adopt it through this experiment. Play around with it.
Yeah. So and you said, to also mitigate risk, right? Yeah. Try where you are in your area of comfort, and then like an experimental trial, right? So that means you're telling these guys that this is a developing technology, right? Don't test the depth of the water with both legs, right? Which I think is just reasonable. It's just very reasonable. I think that is how I think they should be mitigating the threat. Okay, I know you've mentioned that you are not a futurist, David, but you've been around for a while. That I also know, right? So I'm going to take you on this last one, and I want it to be as comprehensive as it could be, as detailed as it could be. What is your bet on here?
What's my bet on AI? Sorry, that sounds like you're asking me where I invest my money. So let's just look at the Canadian economy. The Canadian economy has a huge services sector today. Yeah, like large resource base as well, but that's an operations business, and AI loves operations businesses. It will add value there. But I can't imagine a service sector that would not benefit from AI. And that includes small, medium business service sector. Another real example, and this is from last fall. I know a guy, and he was in an organization where their internal operational challenge was way too many emails from clients that they needed to answer. And, the way they did it was they had people reading emails and typing responses. And this guy, who was not a geek, not technical, he built basically a large language model based email responder that took, the company had lots of documents online about, how to serve their customers, how to answer questions. They had a website full of information and so on. That's what it took as its data set. And like I said, this non-geek guy built a large language model responder that would basically say, is this email routine? If it's routine, let's build an answer. Let's check the answer and see if it sounds good, because you can do that with large language models. You not only ask them to answer a question, you can say, how good's your answer? And he built a fairly sophisticated system in a few weeks, not a geek, that basically took their thousands of emails per week load and turned it into a dozen emails that a person actually had to look at and respond. And so that kind of example just reinforces to me that anybody in a service sector who has a business in a service sector could probably benefit from this technology, at least to save them time, and then probably, as they get good at that, to offer higher value to their customers. So that's, to the extent that I make predictions, I don't see a service sector business that will not be touched significantly by this.
Well, that is it, guys. From David, his bet is services. Services, and services. Yeah. We don't have it more than this. It's been a privilege again having you, David. Thank you.